Hi again. I just finished reading some of the first chapter of a novel that I wrote a number of years ago. And I just thought that I would add a few thoughts after that, just to speak a little bit about what's been going on in the world since we've been in self-imposed isolation, and just to try to add a little bit of calmness and peacefulness to the world. There's a lot out there right now that has us easily triggered into fear, which doesn't serve us in any way. And so, not that you shouldn't feel it. It's important that we feel our emotions and address them. There's nothing wrong with the fear. Fear is there for a reason. It has helped us, preserve us in many situations. In this one, however, I think that feeling into a place of calmness and peacefulness and curiousness and compassion will be able to help us get to a place where we can help both of ourselves and those around us. So I just wanted to share a few little things with a few thoughts that I have, and perhaps a few little tips that may be able to help you as well during this time. For the most part, I've been feeling quite relaxed. Not that what I see is good by any means when it comes to some of the panic and the fear. However, just to kind of bring things down into a place of where you are, it's important to stay in a still point of a place where you can move in any direction should you need to. And just a reminder that we only have the only place that we have true power is in the present moment, in the now moment. And so just looking back, looking into the past often with regret brings up depression. Looking into the future and uncertainty can often bring anxiety. And so in order to get to that still place, that is the now moment. That is the place that we can get to, and from there create what we want to see in the world. And in a lot of ways I see this as an opportunity to is sort of a reset or a reboot of the different systems that we have going on here. It's wonderful to see some of the ways that the government and our communities and the people that we know, our friends and family, have been gathering together, even though we're not always in the same room, but virtually gathering together to support each other and to make sure that we all make it through. We're in this together. We need to make sure that we look after one another that way, in whatever capacity that we can. We all have different gifts. We all have different talents, abilities, skills, and to be able to use them in a way that helps everyone, I think is what gives us our sense of purpose. And that, again, helps to ground that place of calm and awareness that we're doing what we can in the moment right now. So whatever comes up, whatever for you or for someone else, it's okay. And we must show compassion for ourselves and tell ourselves that's okay, and tell the other person that's okay, that they're okay as well, to be feeling whatever they're feeling, but to support them in that way, even if it's not a way that you might agree with. So one way that we can do that is by thinking of our anxiety or someone else's anxiety as something that needs to be addressed as the same way that you would a 5-year-old child who might be terrified or afraid, or just in a very bad place. You wouldn't think of berating a child who's afraid. You would want to nurture them and bring them down and settle them in your lap, or comfort them in a way to show them that it will be okay and that we will all be okay. I believe it was John Lennon that said that everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. And that, to me, that's quite comforting as well, when I think of grounding in the present moment, that if it's not okay, then it's not the end. One of the ways that this does is it increases the heart, our heart field of energy through the heart, the electromagnetic, which is studied by the Heart Math Institute, is something very real. And it helps us to realize that when they, in their findings, they were able to measure the field of love around a heart as being many, many, many times greater than the field of fear when it's based in the body. So it doesn't take everyone on the entire planet to be in a space of love for the planet to be a space of love, but it takes like that one of you or me, who is holding that intention of love and that space of safety, and that it will all be all right, that we are building a heaven on earth for ourselves, will help support and elevate those that are just a little bit less likely to go into the place of love as opposed to fear, so we can help on that level. One of the things I thought was very, very curious is when I first heard in the media about the coronavirus, and my very first thought, before anything else, before the beer or alcohol, anything like that, my very first thought actually was, well, corona means crown or halo. So it got me thinking in a different direction, and that direction was remembering that we are first and foremost divine beings, and that we are sovereign, with that meaning that nothing can interfere with our sovereign intention, with our divine intention to bring that divine energy into the field of energy that we have, and the what space that we occupy in the world as well. So being curious about what's going on, going into a place of curiosity as opposed to fear, helps that anxiety. And then from there, instead of asking questions like why or how or when, those kind of questions, it invites you to actually ask the question, what is really happening here? We know that there's a virus, that much is obvious. However, there may or may not be a whole lot of other things going on here at the same time. So opening up to a place of curiosity, and because I see this in terms of the corona as an invitation as to for exploring our own place in the divine scheme of things, and how we can play a part in creating a whole new place in this new reset of heaven on earth, welcoming a heaven on earth with ease and grace into our lives and everyone around us. And going from that curiosity into wonderment, and going on to even further than that, looking for the miraculous in our ways as we step into our divine birthright, our divine inheritance, that we are here to take part in with the planet awakening the way that it is. It's taking place at an unprecedented rate right now, and it's just beautiful and incredible to see as I look around and see so many beautiful beings awakening and stepping into that place of their divinity and their sovereignty to help and to be of service and to bring joy onto the planet, at a time where we have every reason not to look for joy, but being able to look for that joy and see it in all these different places around us, even if it's just virtual online videos, and being able to access that and touch that for yourself. So I'm trying to reframe this in a way that this is not something that is happening to us. This is something that is happening for us, as an opportunity for us to have this reset, reboot of our matrix reality. So I invite you to have, to still yourself and to go within And one of the tools, one of the ways that you can do this is by breath. A very, very simple one that you can use is 3 breaths in, and you take in a very deep breath, and you would hold it for several seconds, and then release it out, with the out breath being longer and deeper than the in breath and the holding. And if you do that for 3 times, you'll find that you'll be able to release some of that fear and go within. And so going within, ask yourself, in this moment, what would heaven on earth look like for me? And if you feel like it, you can write them down and journal them, or you can just bask in the feeling of that in your mind and your heart already happening. That's one of the most amazing tools that you can use, is really feel into those feelings. Feel that coming in with ease and with grace and with compassion and comfort and abundance, even in this time. Even a little bit of excitement, perhaps, because when you recognize this as an opportunity for a reset, you start to realize the possibilities that could happen in this time, that could be incredibly amazing for everyone on the planet, and change things so that things that were only working for the few on the planet can now work for all of us on the planet together. So if you find yourself slipping back into anxiety, because it does happen for everyone, regardless of how grounded, how centered, how connected you are, and how much you are embodying and anchoring in the divine energy, again, feel into that practice where you take that anxiety, take that fear, and comfort it as you would a small child, and tell them all the ways that it's going to be okay. Breathing deeply, invoking ease, clarity, and love. This is another thing too, address only what is before you. That keeps you out of the future place of anxiety, and keeps you in that place of power, the place where you have power to influence anything, is in right here in your now moment, and really making that, building that and anchoring that ease and grace and clarity and compassion and love and excitement into how you are going to hold that energy for us steady, for you, for me, to create heaven on earth. One thing I can't stress enough is the power of meditating, of really stilling your mind, taking that space out from anywhere else and going within, following the breath, what works for you. What worked for me, I hadn't been able to meditate for a number of years before. Just trying different methods didn't seem to work very well for me. I had a very, very, very active mind. I write, and so it's something that I often have ideas and things flooding in all the time. So when I did find something about two or 2.5 years ago, what really worked for me was finding I hesitate to call it a mantra, but finding words that really helped place me in the place of stillness and ease. And one of the very first words that I used was just now. And closing my eyes and feeling the spot right in front of you, right in here, becoming the witness, becoming the observer, and just thinking, now, now, now. And then later on I added now, love, now, love. As that opened things for me, then I would add other mantras and other words, that I should say, that carried the intention and the energy that I was trying to bring into my body. And what I can do maybe at another time too is do a short video on getting into that meditative place, so that you can solidify and anchor into that place of the now moment power for yourself. What that can, it's I can't stress enough how important the meditation is to really anchor you in this time where everything else around you feels as though it's out of control, but you have control over your own body. You have control over your own space, and your own power, and that is really the essence of the sovereignty that I'm talking about when I speak of that too. There isn't anyone else that can control that space. Only you do. You are the only one who has access to that space inside of you. And it just gives you that haven of optimism and calm, and knowing it's that in that moment that you can respond and move in any direction that's necessary because you are so grounded and anchored in that calm and energy. And speaking of the compassion for ourselves and others, there's a beautiful practice, a Hawaiian practice called Ho'oponopono. And it's very simple. It's just 4 small phrases, and you can actually condense it down into just 2 small phrases after you've practiced it for a little while. But it's beautiful in its simplicity, because what it is it begins with, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And that is the whole practice. It's how you apply it that really begins the magic of how effective it is. You can look it up if you like online, Ho'oponopono. But it you can do that first for yourself, for ways that you maybe feel that you might have let yourself down. You can also do that for friends. You can do that for family. You can do it for your child. You can do it for spouse or partner or significant other. You can do it for the planet itself too. There are so many ways where we can support our planet as well, which has suffered somewhat in the last few hundred years or longer because of actions of the human race. So again, you can abbreviate it down to, even if you're in traffic sometimes, although right now we're not doing a lot of driving, but I found that was an incredibly rewarding place to practice this, was in traffic. And if you've ever been around Toronto traffic, you'd understand how the road rage and how frustrating it can be to be in that space. But I actually started looking forward to driving on like the 400 series highways after going through this, because I truly felt as though I was just in this bubble of love, of this light space, and I began to see the little miracles happening around me where I just needed to go, and someone moved out of my way, and I needed to get in there, and someone moved out of my way, and I would just flow, and it just kept me in this beautiful place of flow, and it made me laugh. It was just so funny to experience that after a number of years being a frustrated driver sometimes. And again, this is a practice that you can do silently. It does not have to be out loud. It doesn't have to be something that other people hear at all. The intention goes out into the field, and it's very powerful because it's based in love. Gratitude. This can also be a challenge in times like this as well. Again, in that traffic situation I was telling you too, the gratitude, it seems like it's kind of oxymoronish in that sense, but it's very important. When we feel things like our choices have been pulled away, or freedom have been curtailed, it's important that we calm ourselves, calm our mind, and then search for the things that you are grateful for. And as simple as, I am grateful for this cup of tea right now. I'm grateful for this very simple meal, the soup, or whatever makes you feel good at this time, for having a bed to sleep on tonight, or having a roof over your head. Very, very simple. Or the love of your pet, or or the people in your life. The things like music, things that inspire you. Seek out the things that inspire you. A lot of people are having anxiety around seeing the things in the media that are being hyped up in ways that panic people. And while caution is definitely something that needs to be respected and followed, there can be too much, and that can lead people, especially people that may have pre-existing anxiety or PTSD or other mental challenges that they deal with mentally, to be able to process this wave of fear that just seems to gather momentum. And so we stand in the place of pure light, and we stand in it, and we anchor that into the places that need it the most for this time. So whenever you start to think about things that are overwhelming, you can say, you can have certain phrases that might help you. I write things down sometimes on little sticky notes or even in a journal. Something like, this one comes from a friend of mine who wrote a book several years ago too. And this is paraphrasing, so please forgive me if it's not exactly as it was in her book. But I place all misaligned things, such as fear, such as lack, such as taking away freedom, into the pure violet flame of love, transmuting all into love, ease, comfort, and compassion in all realities, times, spaces, and dimensions. Only love resides in me now. And there's a little piece of that where you can transmute your anxiety into excitement if you can get yourself into that anchored space of love, because there's very little in terms of the physiological changes that happen in you that are different between anxiety and excitement. What changes is your intention. For example, Olympic athletes are very often wound up before an event, but it doesn't mean that they're afraid. It just means that they're excited to compete, to get out there and do their very, very best in that moment. So another thing, please try to stay out of judgment. Discernment is important, definitely, but judgment makes things wrong. It makes things black and white, whereas discernment is, you need to go into a place of curiosity first in order to parse out all of the relevant details that might be that are necessary for you to make an educated decision. If there's any way you can do it, try not to make any big decisions or things right like that right now, because there's so much going on. It's very important for you to stay at a place, at a vibration or frequency that stays out of fear and anxiety about things like large decisions, whether they be relationships or moving or things like that, if at all possible. I'm trying to think of other things, but one of the things is, like, I'm trying to make sure that this is not, I'm not coming across as being out to lunch or too Pollyanna in my thinking. I have seen some things that are definitely dark, some possible agendas that may or may not be good for the planet, but at the same time, I very firmly believe that the light is stronger than the darkness, and this is like the last vestiges of the death throes, if you will, of corruption and things like that need to be rooted out and made just gone in order to fill that space with light and with a system that helps all people and not just the few. So what you can do is, if you start to feel that, it's easy enough to spiral downwards, but into that place of fear and lack and feeling like you have no choices. But if you can get back to the neutral point, and that is just a place of observing and of neutrality, possibly contentment, somewhere in there, even a touch of boredom perhaps. But from that point there, it's easier to get up into the upward spiral and going into the higher dimensions of love and excitement and enthusiasm and purpose. Purpose is another big thing too. So each moment, what I'm doing for myself is I choose love over fear. It's a conscious choice that you can make, and that's something that you can make regardless of what is going on, regardless of what anything looks like, because this does help to lift, like I said earlier, the collective frequency, collective vibration. Love is so powerful. It isn't just some airy-fairy new age kind of fluff. It actually can be both a shield and a weapon, and this is why we'll see an upsurge in that love, an upsurge against feelings of that love. It gets attacked as being, like I said, too Pollyanna-ish or too airy-fairy or new age or spiritual bypassing which some people talk about, because those that may be part of a dark agenda realize how strong the light is, and so to disparage the love is taking away your shield and your weapon against the dark, because there is nothing but love that can survive in a field of pure love. Nothing else can survive in that pure intention of love. That is the truth. So discard the fear, especially cynicism too. Cynicism is it doesn't help you or the people around you, and it's a slow acting poison, and only love is basically the antidote for that poison. So this is what I can see going forward as part of the purpose that I spoke of, and that is, try to make sure that you are holding the intention of integrity with loving, sacred space for goodness, to welcome your heaven on earth with ease and grace into being. Holding space for all of those who are helping others, those who are emergency workers, essential services, all of those wonderful people that are risking themselves for the rest of the collective good, and for holding that space of love too for anyone who's having difficulty with this time. And again, making that space, holding that space for wonder and curiosity, for a better world to emerge into the void that is occurring with everything just coming to a halt for us right now. It's a gift. It's a place that is just waiting to be filled up with love and with light and with good intentions and with an agenda that helps everyone, not just the few. So grounding ourselves into, and again for our Mother Earth as well, grounding ourselves into that love, into Mother Earth, to be part of the collective healing and enlightenment that is sweeping across our entire globe right now. If you look for it, you will see it. It is there. And if you stop looking at all the things that incite the fear and start looking for it, start looking for the places where people are helping each other, where people are uplifting each other, inspiring each other to higher and higher heights of service and purpose and love, and a most hopeful version possible of our Earth and humanity going forward. So opening up a space within us, in that sacred space, for miracles to occur. Welcome miracles to happen in this time. It's the time for it. So may we be blessed within this transition time, and may every change be for our greatest good, and may this happen with ease and with grace, inside and out. So hold that vision for creating a new heaven on earth, welcoming heaven on earth with ease and grace, and expecting miracles and seeing them in our everyday lives become more and more and more plentiful. So with that, I'll leave you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that helped in any way. If you have any questions or comments, please contact me. Let me know. I'm happy to discuss with anyone anything around this. So I hope that you have a beautiful day, and hope that we can expand in even greater places in that space of a new earth. Namaste.